Bishus Menalim, Chashav Rabbanim, Rebbeim, parents and grandparents. A few weeks ago, Rabbi Kana called me and asked me if I would speak today to the fifth graders as a parent representative. So boys, if what I'm about to say to you, your parents can agree with and relate to, then I'm speaking on their behalf. If what I'm about to say your parents don't agree with, then you can completely ignore and disregard whatever you're about to hear, with the exception of one of you, who I won't embarrass, so I won't say his last name. His first name is Eli, and he's sitting at table 7. Boys, as you approach this milestone and you begin to learn Gemora, a journey that Emir Hashem will take you for the rest of your life, it's important that you stop for a moment and you remember a famous Jewish principle which I know you're all familiar with. Derech Eretz Kadma Torah. Before you begin learning, before you open that Gemara each day, you need to make sure you have Derech Eretz. So what does that mean? When you were younger, you were taught an understanding of that was befitting your age. Maybe it meant holding the door open for someone, standing up for someone older than you, saying please and thank you. And those are important actions, and they need to continue as you move on in life. But as you're learning and as your Torah develops and matures, it's important that your Derech Eretz develops and matures as well. So practically, what does that mean for you today? I think there's a famous study from one of the Ivy League universities, and if the study doesn't exist, then it should exist, that if you say the words fighter jet pilot to a group of boys ages 10 to 12, 80% of them will listen to whatever you say afterwards. So here's a story I have that involves a fighter jet pilot. Charles Plum was a fighter jet pilot during the Vietnam War. And on his 75th combat mission, he was shot down over enemy territory and taken captive for 6 years. Eventually, he was released and he moved on with his life. One day, Charles Plum and his wife are sitting in a restaurant, and the fellow next to them turns to him and says, "Hey, you're Plum. You're the fellow who was shot down during the Vietnam War." Charles Plum, thinking to himself he had never seen this person before, says, "Yes, that's me, I'm Plum, but how do you know me?" And the fellow says to him, "I'm the sailor who packed your parachute, and I'm glad to see that it worked." So Charles Plum, who has gone on to become a worldwide motivational speaker, he shares that after that lunch event, he was troubled for days on end. You see, he understood that during his time in the Air Force, he was an important and well-respected fighter jet pilot, and this person was a lowly, anonymous sailor. But it bothered him. How many times did he pass this sailor in the hallway or sitting next to him in the dining room? Did he say hello to him? Did he say good morning? He certainly didn't say thank you to him. You see, this anonymous sailor sat in the bowels of an aircraft carrier day in and day out, playing with hooks, folding the fabric, packing the parachute each and every day to make sure that if that parachute was ever needed to save someone's life, it would work. And as Charles Plum recounts, it was only after this lunch meeting that he fully had a sense of appreciation for what this anonymous sailor did for him, that he packed his parachute for him. Boys, you're sitting here today in a beautiful yeshiva. You're well-dressed, you're well-fed, you have everything you need to succeed. But that's because someone packed your parachute for you. You see, your parents and your grandparents and your Rebbeim, they may not live in an aircraft carrier, but from the moment you've been born, and every morning before you wake up, and every night after you go to bed, they're thinking about you, and they're making sure you have the resources and the tools that you need to succeed. Derech Eretz Kadma Torah today, boys, means 2 words. Hakaras Hatov. Recognizing the good that you have and appreciating those who've given it to you. So how do you do it? Because saying thank you is not enough. Not today. You see, if you give a 2-year-old a present, he also says thank you. There's no feeling behind it. That's how he's taught. It's instinct, it's reflexive. You boys are maturing. Some of you are getting close to bar mitzvah. You're getting your Gemaras. How do you really show Hakaras Hatov today to those sitting around you who have given everything for you to help you reach this milestone today? President Kennedy is quoted as saying, "In expressing our gratitude, we must never forget that the greatest sense of appreciation is not the words that we utter, but that we live by them." in expressing our gratitude, we must never forget that the greatest sense of appreciation is not the words that we utter, but that we live by them. The Gemora in Masechta Shabbos brings down the pasuk of Zakeli v'anvehu. The Gemara says, how do we beautify HaKadosh Baruch Hu? How do we show him that we care about his mitzvahs and his Torah? Says Abba Shaul, Anvehu teaches us to emulate him. Mahu rachum v'chanun afata rachum v'chanun. Just like HaKadosh Baruch Hu is merciful and compassionate, so to you, the Adam needs to be merciful and compassionate. We show HaKadosh Baruch Hu that we care about him, that we love him and we care about his mitzvahs by emulating him. Boys, young men, fifth graders, the way you show a Akar Tov, the way you show your parents that you get it, that you really do appreciate everything your parents, your grandparents, and your Rebbeim have done for you, is by emulating them. Emulate your parents. Follow in the footsteps of your grandparents and your Rebbeim. They've given you the tools, the resources that you need. They've taught you midos. They've shown you how to live a Jewish way of life. And if you do that, that is how you will really express to them appreciation for all that they've done for you till this moment, and they will Mir Hashem continue to do. So on behalf of the parents, and if I may say the grandparents, Rebbeim as well, Mazel Tov to each and every one of you fifth graders on reaching this beautiful milestone. And we're looking forward to watching you continue to grow and succeed and making each and every one of us proud. Mazel Tov.